we're going to get on with this just now. Wait for a couple of people to get in and then we'll get straight into the chart data. We've got a lot to go through. Right then, let me just check everything's working. Right then. Okay. Right then. Seem to be alright. It's a little bit slow. Alright. Welcome Motel Dublin. Merry Christmas to you as well. Just making sure everything's working, then we'll get going. I've done this for a bit, so I'm just getting the chat up. 6 people in. Thanks everyone for being here. Okay, let's go. Right, let's start with the latest GFS, and we're going to go through all of the ensembles as well, every single one of them. We've got the ECMWF that is just updating as well. GM, long range, and all sorts. We've got plenty to go through today. Should be a pretty long stream as well. Hopefully we get some more people in as well. There we go. Alright then. This is the latest. We're not going to waste any time. Let's get going. I know the KM8 was crazy, wasn't it? What a run. Anyway, let's get straight into this. So, this is the latest GFS. If you didn't already know, high pressure is the yellow, oranges and reds, low pressure is the blues and purples. Current situation, we've got high pressure ridging through the country up towards Scandinavia, and winds are starting to switch around into a cold easterly direction. If you're been outside today, you can probably feel it. It's pretty chilly indeed. Anyway, let's run through the latest GFS. Is it bringing in the cold? Let's have a look. But just to make it a bit more exciting, let's do the midnight run and the 6 adverse first, so we can drag it on a bit. So, the midnight run gets that block sitting around the north of the country and over Scotland. A very strong block, the strongest block of high pressure in 45 years, says the Met Office, which I don't know if it's true, but it probably is. We then try to get that high pressure into retrograde up towards Greenland, and by the 28th of December, we've got a cool or cold northerly wind pushing down. The Atlantic, though, this low in the Atlantic is the spoiler low. It's just toppling the ridge, and what it's going to do is, I mean, the rest of Europe at this point is in the freezer, but what it's doing for us is it's just we're just sort of around the periphery, and we are going to end up ruining it. Well, that low's going to ruin it, even though we are still quite cold. Eventually, the midnight run does go quite cold and wintry, even for us. So these runs look pretty determined to go cold, even if it's not straight away. But there is big signals of something colder into the new year, and we've got some very severe runs that we'll be showing you as well. The 6Z looked like this, so let's see what this one does. Whoops. So there's that easterly for Christmas, maybe the odd flake of snow over Dartmoor for Christmas, but nothing more than that. And then it goes to Greenland once again, but that low's just in the Atlantic's just strong, and it's just going to topple that ridge, which is very annoying. But we are determined to get that high up to Greenland, and we actually do end up going cold from the GFS 6 head as well. So models are all over the place, but we are still going cold eventually. But there's a lot of differences in between the models. I'll show you the 12Z now, the latest. The 12Z, once again, it's all over the place, a bit of a wobble as well. But here you go. High pressure up towards Greenland again. We actually ridge again, so it's trying to keep that block. Once again, the Atlantic just topples it. It just flattens the ridge. So we're trying, but we're just not getting there. Eventually, we do actually go cold again, but it's just not getting there. But we've got signals that it may be an outlier, so don't be disheartened yet. GM looks like this. Retrogressing high pressure up towards Greenland and Iceland, and we get them winds in from the north for a time. But the GEM, once again, it's collapsing that ridge quick, and the Atlantic's coming back in, which is not what you want to see. But our most reliable model, the ECMWF is disagreeing. It's just updating now. It's on 240 hours. We'll show you it when it's fully updated as well. So it's just updating now, and this is what it's looking like. So high pressure up towards Greenland, and then it fails. It looks like the Atlantic's going to ruin it. We actually ridge again, and as we go up to the 1st of January, 2nd of January, we are about to unleash a very cold northerly. High pressure is retrogressing up towards Greenland, low pressure is dropping in, and we are about to go very cold. So the ECMWF is going cold, not as early as we thought it might do, but it is still going cold eventually, and we are getting that northerly in. It's going to be, it looks like it could be setting up a pretty prolonged and very cold spell from the ECMWF. Any questions, please put them in the chat. Latest GFS ensembles are looking like this for London. Yeah, it is an interesting start to the new year. Red line is the 1991 to 2020 30-year average, and we are setting off with above average upper air temperatures, but then dropping below for Christmas before a rise, but it will not be mild on the surface. It'll be very cold. We've also got this one. I don't know what that's doing. Then we go into the new year around the 30th of December, and it's a massive drop, and from on then we are below average and pretty cold, some getting down to -10 or -15 nearly. Snow row for London. There's snow around, so you know it's getting more promising as we get closer to the time. You'll see more going for it as well, as long as the cold spell doesn't disappear, that is. Yeah, I'm gonna do the KMA, don't worry about that. GEM ensembles are all over the place still, but the GEM's never really been on the cold, and it's just a straight 50-50 from the GEM, so it's been unreliable at the minute as well. So if you want to laugh, go and watch the Met Office deep dive. Yeah. AIFS ensembles are looking like this. Once again, just like the GFS, very confident that we are going cold for Christmas. Then we've got this interlude where it's going to be drier and colder, and then after that into the new year we're below average, and it's looking promising. And once again, that operational run was an outlier. And then I don't know what this is doing. What that? Interesting. The Met Office deep dive actually tricked me at the end. Oh right. I'll have to watch that in a bit. I haven't had a chance yet. What are we doing? AIFS we're doing. AIFS looks like this. Is it going to agree with ECMWF, or will it disagree? So up that high pressure goes, winds are in from a northerly, and then it collapses. But we actually ridge again and end up going cold by the end of the run. So it's looking pretty. All the models are very. Well, they all want to go cold, but it's just when and how cold it's going to get. But I mean, even the ones that aren't going cold around the 1st of January when we think they are, in that 31st of December to 3rd of January period is when we're expecting it to start, if it's gonna happen. But even the ones that are not doing it then are actually getting into it later. Going camping next weekend, 2nd and 3rd of January. Might get a snow camp. What date to be going camping? Just when we might be in the cold. Anyway, UK Met Office EU looks like this. Up to the end at 168 hours. High pressure is ridging north, and we've actually, that looks pretty good from the UK Met Office EU. We've got another area high pressure does here, and that's pushing north. And to be honest, that looks like it's going to set up a northerly. So that one's looking good as well. UK Met Office normal only goes out to 144 hours, but once again, that looks promising to me. Again, we've got this. The mic's flying everywhere. We've got this second area high pressure ridging up from the Atlantic, and it looks pretty primed to set up a northerly as well. So Maybe the models are swinging cold today. It's very interesting indeed. And now for the big one. Is it updated yet? No. That's the KMA as it is. Anyway. I've got the KMA not updated yet. Now this is the run of the year so far. Take a look at this. The KMA 12Z yesterday. High pressure retrogresses up towards Greenland. And you think, oh, the Atlantic's going to ruin it. Not the KMA, yeah, here it is. The Atlantic's going to ruin it, but guess what? It doesn't. And then, as we go into the 1st of January, which is my target period for the northerly, if it's going to happen around the 1st of January. Yeah, they're all over the place. I've never seen anything like it. But this happened before the Beast from the East, and that was a very cold spell. But usually, just before we get an extremely cold spell, we usually do get a big wobble. So, you know, there's good signs and there's signs that you think is it going to happen or not. But anyway, 1st of January from the KMA, we're into an extremely cold northeasterly wind. We're just dragging the from the freezer, really, from the continent. If you look at the upper air temperatures by this point, we are -8 upper airs over England already. Absolutely freezing. So we're looking at the calm before the storm. Maybe we are. I hope so. What do you do with a bit of cold? Right, as I was saying, if it happens, I'll jump out a window holding a sign saying I lied. Right. So, the KMA then brings a low pressure in. So at this point, it's snowing over the whole of the country. Upper air temperatures are freezing. We're only just about getting above freezing anywhere in the country, really. And then just to top it off, that low pressure stalls, and we get about 80 miles per hour gusts as well. So blizzard conditions, and it carries on snowing for about 40, 50 hours straight for most of the country. And then instead of going mild, guess what we do? We bring the wind in from a beastly easterly direction. So it's probably still snowing for most of the country at this point. We've got beast from the easterly winds. -10 upper air temperatures are moving in. And we've also got snow showers covering the whole country. What a run. The storm will come, says Ashton. This guy needs to be hired by the Met Office. I hope so. That'd be alright, wouldn't it? It's just a shame that it's probably not going to happen, but you never know, do you? You never know. Anyway, what a run from the KMA up to the 3rd of January. And by the way, if you look to the Atlantic, the high pressure is actually ridging north again. It looks like it's just going to re-establish that area of blocking, and it's just going to get even worse. Well, better if you like the cold, but it's going to get more severe. I mean, look at the Atlantic, how strong it is. And this blocking area high pressure is just determined to lock us into these extremely cold winds. And by this point, we've got all sorts of severe stuff going on. I mean, there'd be red warnings for snow with that low pressure. The country would be at a standstill. And then by this point, we're bringing in these upper air temperatures that from the continent starting to move in. They're about -15. So what a run. Extremely cold as well. Is the CMWF done yet? I don't know. Possibly. No, of course it isn't. But this is a good run. Can't wait to see this one. And the ensembles as well, but it's not quite done yet. But what a run from the KMA. That's all I'm going to say. It is updating, but very slowly, so we'll have to see what happens with that. I have got to say, though, the block seems further north from the latest KMA. This has to come off. We're in need of it. We deserve it, probably. Yeah, the ECMWF is on WX charts. I might do that if it's not updated after, but I've still got a lot of stuff to show, so we'll go through all of that as well. We're doing all the GFS ensembles, so that's going to take ages. I could probably I haven't got a pen though, so I can't write it down. It's alright, I'll do it on my laptop or something. But yeah, we've launched memberships on the channel, by the way, just so you all know. I don't expect anyone to become one live, or anyone to do any donations, but it is there if anyone's interested. So, What should we do first? Yeah, let's do the NAO. Okay. This is the latest North Atlantic Oscillation forecast. Yeah, no, without an SSW. Well, 2010. Remember what a cold spell that was, and we didn't have an SSW. We don't need an SSW for severe cold. If we get decouplement, especially of the troposphere and the stratosphere, we don't need an SSW. It will just happen. We can get cold just like 2010. I mean, we might have got an SSW eventually, but it wasn't because of that we actually went cold. So, pretty interesting. Right. North Atlantic Oscillation. When we are in a positive phase up here, it shows that we have got low pressure in the Atlantic and we're more zonal, and we are favoured to be wet, windy and unsettled off the Atlantic. When we are in a negative phase, which we are forecast to go into, it means there's blocking high pressure over the country. Yeah, 2018 did have an SSW though, but once again there was massive wobbles before that. We weren't even sure about 5 days before with that. So even though we're wobbling now, I mean, we could wake up tomorrow and everything could go mild, but it could still flip back cold. Because the beast from the east, it was like 5 days before. There was no cold at all. I think there was 2 GFS ensembles, and then all of a sudden they all went. Because the models do struggle in these situations. So that is something to just remember, that the models aren't made. Our default setup is westerly, so the weather models try to get us back to that as quickly as possible, as they don't like blocking, and they do struggle with blocking as well. So at the minute I think we are favouring a colder spell, but I'm not saying anything because I'll get in trouble if I get it wrong. And when we go into a negative, once again it shows that we've got colder potential, and as we go into the start of January, we are negative still, but then we've got a 50-50 going on. So these are the ones that are going more Atlantic driven, and these are the ones that are keeping us very cold. So it's a 50-50 from the North Atlantic Oscillation. The Arctic Oscillation is the same thing. Once again, it's a 50-50 as we go into January, but there's probably more going negative. There's some going positive as well, but then we've got some going extremely negative. So once again, there's that signal that something unusual could be going on, and it's pretty interesting if you are fans of cold weather. Right. Let me know if you've got any questions below as well. How are we doing? Doing alright. We got 31 people in. Wow. That's not bad. Not bad for... I mean, it's the 23rd of December. I don't really expect anyone to be in. You know, it's Christmas, so... Thanks everyone for being here. ECMWF, has it updated yet? No. So, let's go and do the GFS ensembles. How are we going to do this? Is Gav live at 7:30? I didn't know that. Right. So, let's go through the ensembles. I can't... Oh, I've got a pen. I've got a pen, right. So, what we're going to do... Yeah, Gav knows. Gav knows what he's talking about. I've learnt a lot of Gav. So, Gav got more experience, and he experienced it with the Beast from the East as well, where we looked like we had no chance at cold, then it all flipped. So, you know, some of these runs are severe, by the way, that you are about to see. So we've got 3 options tonight. We've got cold and dry. I hope he knows something. We've got mild, and then we've got cold and wintry. So we're going to go through all the GFS ensembles, and I'm going to add up what we're looking like for a more of a better look of what's going on. Yeah, Gav is live, so people are probably going to start leaving this stream, but I'll try and get through everything then before, so we can go and watch that as well. So let's do that now. GFS ensembles. I'll include the operational as well. Yeah, right. So let's do this. Right. Let's start on. What hour should we start on? Hour 100. No. Let's go from hour 120, right. So, the operational run takes high pressure up towards Greenland. Do we go cold? Now, we're cold and dry for a time, but that's pretty cold and dry. It does end up going a bit milder, but it does go colder eventually again. So I'm going to go with cold and dry with that one. If it would be in between, I'd do in between, but it's a bit of a 50-50. The control run looks like this. High pressure up towards Greenland, winds in from the north. We drop a low pressure through, and it's pretty cold and it's pretty chilly, but it's not crazy wintry, so that's another cold and dry one from the control one. Ensemble 1 looks like this. High pressure up towards Greenland. We get toppled over though, but once again we stay cold and dry throughout the whole period. So I mean, it looks like we are going cold, but it's just whether we can get proper wintry or not. Ensemble 2 looks like this. So we get a proper northerly in from Ensemble 2. Now this is what we're looking for. And a low pressure drops in. Look at that. A low pressure drops in, delivering widespread snow. The whole country is buried. What a run. That's definitely cold and wintry. And up to the end of the run we are cold. Very, very interesting run indeed. Ensemble 3 looks like this. Ensemble 3 does get a wintry northerly down, but it doesn't last for that long. I don't know what to go for with that one really. It's a bit on the edge, so I'm gonna go with. I'll go mild with that one because it collapses pretty quickly. Ensemble 4 looks much more wintry for a time, and yeah, it goes wintry again. So that's a very cold run as well. So that one is definitely a cold and wintry run. Ensemble 5 looks like this. We are very. Are we going to do it? Whoa, we get a low pressure in as well, so that's cold and wintry. And then actually, we're sort of northwesterly, so that's very. But goes colder again at the end. So that's probably in the middle. But I'll put. I'm not really sure. I'll go cold and wintry. But some of these runs are right in the middle. Ensemble 6. Collapses, that goes mild. Ooh. Ensemble 7. It's pretty cold, but it does go milder, so I'll put mild for that one. Ensemble 8. By the way, there's some very good ensembles in the mixer here. Ensemble 8 goes pretty cold, but we're just on the edge. It's right on the edge, that is. I'm going to go cold and dry. Ensemble 9. Pretty chilly, but once again we're just milder. The interesting runs are coming, by the way. Ensemble 10 looks like this. Much more wintry and colder, and we actually get a reinforced northerly, and that's a very cold and wintry spell. Look at that! Oh dear! We get Atlantic lows coming into that cold air there. Look at that. Big snow events, and that's definitely cold and wintry. What a run that is. So it's all to play for. Yeah, at least it does, Ashton. But evening, Chris. It's going to be interesting anyway. Whatever happens, it's going to be. I don't see it be the Atlantic breaking through anytime soon. This one, it's pretty cold, which may be a bit too dry for anything that wintry. So we've got cold and dry. Yeah, it is similar to the KMA. 12. Yes, 12 goes cold and wintry a bit later on, but when it oh, what is that? A low drops in. We then stall the low over the country with -5 upper air temperatures, and we stall the low over the country for about about 5 days. So we're all buried from that one. Widespread 30 centimeters. That's definitely cold and wintry. That's one of the craziest runs I've seen today. Ensemble 13 goes cold and wintry as well. I know, what was that? What a run. Number 12. The low just sits there. We're all getting buried from that one. Upper air temperatures are cold as well. And 13, once again. Very cold and wintry, and it actually reinforces the northerly. Yeah, exactly, Ashton. I mean, that might be better. 14 is mild. 15 is cold and wintry. Oh, look at this. We get the Atlantic coming into the cold again, and we get a massive transitional snow event. That's cold and wintry again. Ensemble 16 looks like this. Cold and dry for the start. We're very close to going cold and wintry, and we try by the end. And look at this by the end again. Atlantic's coming into cold air, and we've got another absolute blizzard. But I'm going to say cold and dry for that, as it only goes cold right at the end. Ensemble 17 looks like this. I mean, it does it again at the end. And the block's weird on that one. So we're pretty determined, I've got to say, but I'm going to go cold and dry with that one. Even though it tries to get there at the end. Ensemble 18. What a run from Ensemble 18. Cold and wintry, and we actually stay cold right till the end. And then the Atlantic tries to come in, but I mean that's too far out to even take notice of by the time that happens. Ensemble 19 is cold and dry. Then high pressure tries to go again, but we just break it down, and by the end we try again, but just not quite. So a lot of these models are trying over and over again. It's very interesting. I'm going to go mild with that one though. Will this cold snowy weather come off? I'm not saying anything at the minute, but it's looking very interesting. Considering models don't like doing it as well, it's very interesting indeed. Ensemble 20 brings a low down as well, and it's another blizzard overnight, and then it stays cold as well, and then another low tries to slide down. That's another very cold and wintry run. Repeat pattern, yeah. This is looking very interesting, I've got to say. I haven't seen charts like this for a very long time. 21 is pretty cold and dry. And this one tries to go again. I mean, we've got that powerful of an Atlantic, but we're still trying to hold on to the cold. And take a look at this. Cold pulls in, we're freezing, and the Atlantic's coming in once again. What a run. That's pretty cold and dry though, so it does go wintry at the end though. Josh, welcome in, Josh. Yeah, the very interesting, Ashton. I think we just got to wait and see. Ensemble 22 goes for it. Oh, and the low drops through once again. This is going to be an interesting low to keep an eye on, because it's bringing some absolute blizzards. Once again, a very cold and wintry run, and we stay like that up to the end. Then we actually do it again, and then by the end we try and do it. We do it again. So another cold and wintry run. Very interesting indeed. Yeah, I'm going as quick as we can because I know people want to get over to Gav soon. Ensemble 23, there's another low involved, and once again a very interesting run, and we actually keep it cold. That's another cold and wintry run from the GFS. I'm going to be showing you how much I've counted because I'm writing all this down, by the way. Ensemble 24 is going cold and wintry, and another low drops down. And we try to go milder by the end, but we're going to struggle. So it may be a bit more short-lived from this one, but I've got to put cold and wintry just because of the start, because once again, very cold and wintry run. 25 is very close to being cold and wintry, but it probably just stays on the drier side to me. So I'm going to put cold and dry. And by the way, when these go mild right at the end, don't take much notice because these models are trying to break us down as quick as possible, even though it probably won't happen. This one does it a bit later, but once again it nearly gets there. And look, it does it again. So over and over again, we're repeatedly trying to get these northerlies going, which is interesting. I can't go through all the ECMWF don't really do them, and the GEM are being stupid at the minute, so I can't really go through the other ensembles because the ECMWF doesn't do. Oh, Ensemble 27, an absolute beast of a northerly, widespread snow showers. A low comes in from the south as well, and up to the end of the run we're still in the freezer, and finally we tried to go milder, but then we're building a Scandi and then we've got a beast from the east setting up from the east, so that's an extremely cold run. Starts around the 30th of December as well, only 7 days out. These models are over 7 days out and we've got no idea, but at the minute it's getting interesting. This one's cold and dry, but once again by the end we're doing it again. We're trying to keep that block in. We're pretty set on going cold. Ensemble 29 is a mild out. No, I was going to say it's a mild outlier, but never mind. It ends up going very cold by the end, which I don't know if I'm going to count that. Oh, it does it, so I'm going to have to count it. And finally, Ensemble 30 is cold and dry. Yeah, I mean, it's going to go cold again by the end. I'm going to go wintry, but what a set of ensembles that was. Right, I'm done. Let's add them all up. Yeah, see, I said that yesterday, Ashton, and today's just been all over the place again. We might just not go certain until like a day before. Right, so we have got. So this is for cold and dry, cold/dry. We have got 12 ensembles going cold and dry. Mild, we have 6 ensembles, and cold and wintry, we have got 14. So at the moment, we are favouring a cold and wintry pattern. What do you think of that, everyone? Extremely interesting indeed. DCNWF still hasn't updated. So let's get it up on WX charts. Oh, never mind, that's not working either. There we go, right. ECMWF, British Isles, 500 heights. Come on, hurry up. No, that's not what I want. Europe, North Atlantic. Right, there we go. So this is the ECMWF run. Mate, why has it done that? This is such a weird. Just give me a minute. I'm just trying to get it to the right angle. It looks good, by the way. There we go. Right then. ECMWF. Here we go. 1st of January. High pressure retrogresses up towards Greenland. And look at this. A bit delayed once again, but 2nd, 3rd of January. Extremely cold and wintry from the ECMWF. And then we're locked in that up to the end before maybe the signs of something different by the end. But once again, ECMWF goes cold and it's game on for cold lovers. What an update if you like cold. It's going to be a very interesting one. The ECMWF weeklies also look interesting. We'll show you them quickly. Week 1 looks like this, 22nd. Let's do that so you can see the week. No, let me zoom out a bit. There we go. This is our week 1, 22nd to 29th of December. High pressure is blocked over the country. Low pressure to the south. Winds are in from the easterly direction, but that is this week. Next week is pretty similar. High pressure to the north. Low pressure to the south. Winds are in from the northeast though. And once again, that might be cold and wintry later on. Because of the high pressure may only be moving away on the 29th, so that's why it's still over the country, because it's showing you on a weekly sort of anomaly. Week 3 is a beast from the east setup, extremely cold and wintry. Week 4, once again, extremely cold and wintry. On week 5 it's cold again. On week 6 it's cold again. So what a set of runs from the ECMWF weeklies. ECMWF normal run is absolutely brilliant as well. Once it gets there around the 2nd of January, extremely cold and wintry. It is one of the coldest winter lives we've done in a while. It may end up flopping all over the place, but it's extremely promising. What a run we have had. I'm going to wrap it up here though, because I know Gav's live, so we can all go watch him. I'll be there as well. Thanks everyone for being here, by the way. I know it's not been a very busy stream, but for all the usual viewers, thanks everyone for being here. I really do appreciate it. For staying tuned on the channel. Memberships and super chats are now live on the channel as well, which I'm pretty happy about. After a couple of years we have finally managed to do it. Once again, I don't expect anyone to do that, but it's just out there if anyone is interested. So thanks everyone for that, and you also get benefits with the membership and stuff like that. These runs might be saying this, but we know that it is going to be less than 1% of happening since we live in the UK. No, I mean, the majority of the GFS ensembles are going for it. When we get these cold spells, we can go very cold, but we just got to get the right setup, and this could end up being one. It's still uncertain, but you never know. So we're going to wrap it up now. You can go check memberships out and stuff like that if you want, but I don't expect anyone to. I'm going to go watch Gav's stream now. I know you'll all be there. Thanks for everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.